at introducing him into that public life.
But the big question is his dad going to let him have a phone?
He's 12.
And he has no phones?
No phones.
No way.
It's getting to the point where it's becoming a little bit of a tense issue.
There will come a point that his friends will have it, but he won't.
It is going to be a challenge for them. They've got children growing up in an age of social.
It begins with a question the royal family hoped they would never have to confront so soon. What happens when two of the institution's most prominent figures disappear at the same time? What happens when one prince leaves the country entirely and the other is stripped of everything that made him royal? What happens when the monarchy suddenly finds itself with an empty stage, a shrinking roster, and a desperate need for someone, anyone, to step forward? According to royal insiders, the answer is already emerging. A new royal is being shaped. A new face is being prepared. A new future king is being introduced far earlier than expected. And his name is Prince George. Before we dive in, there's something I need to share with you. Over the past few days, thousands have watched these stories unfold, but most haven't subscribed. If you're one of them, I invite you now to join us. Subscribe to Crownverse so you never miss the next chapter in this unfolding royal history. The story of Prince George's sudden rise begins not with him, but with the collapse of the generation that came before him. Prince Andrew, once a decorated Royal Navy officer and a public face of the monarchy, has lost nearly everything. His titles, gone. His public role, gone. His reputation, shattered. He has been removed from events, relieved of duties, and erased from institutions he once represented. The second blow came from across the Atlantic. Prince Harry, once one of the most popular royals of his generation, has built a new life in California. New home, new lifestyle, new identity. But his departure left a hole, not just in the monarchy, but in the royal working team. One fewer senior royal to attend ceremonies, one fewer family member to travel, represent, engage, and uphold tradition. For a monarchy designed to operate with a large network of active royals, this loss is enormous. And then came Meghan, her exit alongside Harry widening the gap even further. Two royals gone, almost overnight. Two royals who once carried significant public engagement responsibilities. A vacuum formed, and the palace needed someone to fill it. Now, this is where the story takes an unexpected turn, toward a boy barely 12 years old. Prince George, second in line to the throne, has always been destined for the greatest role of all, but the timeline was supposed to be slow, careful, deliberate. He was meant to learn privately, to watch from the background, to grow at a natural pace. But with Andrew removed, with Harry absent, and with the monarchy shrinking, that timeline appears to be changing. Royal expert Richard Eden, whose analysis has drawn attention across British media, says George is now being treated as the new royal in training. He explains that the palace is gently but noticeably pushing George forward to take on more visible roles. And the evidence is beginning to appear in plain sight. This past week, George attended the Festival of Remembrance at the Royal Albert Hall, an event steeped in history, an event filled with emotion, symbolism, military legacy, and national pride, an event typically attended by senior members of the royal family. But this year, Prince William was overseas, thousands of miles away in Brazil, and so, standing beside his mother, the Princess of Wales, was Prince George. No siblings, no father, just George, stepping into the arena of royal duty in a way he never has before. Observers noticed something remarkable. George looked calm, curious, engaged, present, as though the weight of history didn't intimidate him, but intrigued him. It wasn't his first major appearance, but this one felt different, and royal watchers felt it immediately. There was a subtle shift, a new tone, a sense that this wasn't just a family outing, it was preparation. And according to Eden, it was deliberate. He believes the palace, and especially Kate, are now guiding George through a tailored introduction to duty, allowing him to watch, to learn, to absorb the gravity of public service at an earlier age than previous heirs. And this makes sense, because the monarchy, as it stands today, is undergoing a transformation. Charles has made it clear both publicly and privately that he supports a slimmed-down monarchy. Fewer working royals, more focus on the direct line, a modern, streamlined institution designed to reduce cost, controversy, and bureaucracy. But when you reduce the size of the team, you increase the workload on those who remain. In the past, individuals like Princess Anne, Prince Andrew, the Duke of Kent, and Prince Harry all shared that workload. Today, that entire support structure has shifted, or disappeared. Anne is aging. Edward and Sophie remain committed, but are stretched across global engagements. Harry is gone. Andrew has been removed entirely. That leaves William, Catherine, and eventually their children. Which brings us back to George. Royal commentator Richard Eden described him as a new royal in training, because George is entering a new phase, one shaped not by luxury or privilege, but by necessity. The monarchy needs him, and the palace knows it. Consider George's recent engagements. Earlier this year, he attended a tea party at Buckingham Palace honoring the 70th anniversary of VE Day. Veterans, some in their 90s, spoke with him directly. And despite his age, George held conversations with them, showing interest, focus, empathy. For someone so young, this was extraordinary, but it wasn't random. It was training. Another example came at a Champions League match between Aston Villa and Paris Saint-Germain. A sporting event, yes, but also a strategic public appearance. A moment where George could appear with his father, connect with the public, and display relatable interests. Royal watchers said the outing served two purposes: reinforcing William as a present, engaged father, and subtly presenting George as a future royal with both gravitas and charm. Now, Eden and other experts emphasize that none of this means George is being rushed. Kate and William are famously protective. They reportedly want their children to have as normal a childhood as possible. They want stability, privacy, and grounding. But they cannot ignore the reality. The monarchy needs fresh faces. It needs continuity. It needs visible symbols of the future. And George, whether he is ready or not, has become that symbol. Kate appears to understand this more than anyone. Observers noted during the Festival of Remembrance that her body language toward George was gentle but instructive. She was guiding him, not shielding him, encouraging independence, not hiding him behind her. Every gesture seemed intentional, every step measured, every interaction observed by the cameras but controlled by Kate. She is not simply introducing George to the public, she is shaping him for a role he will carry for the rest of his life. And in many ways, she has no choice. The monarchy is entering an era of transition. Charles is aging. William is stepping into more responsibility. Catherine is becoming a central pillar of stability. And their children, especially George,
are the backbone of the institution's long-term future. But there's another layer to this story, a subtle, unspoken message coming from within palace circles. George is being prepared not only because the monarchy needs him, but because the monarchy cannot rely on the generation above him. Harry is gone, and there is no confirmed indication he will ever return to royal duty. Andrew is finished, his downfall complete. Beatrice and Eugenie, while loyal, are not senior working royals and have their own careers and young families. That leaves a looming question. Who will stand beside William when he becomes king? According to Eden's analysis, the answer is becoming clearer. It will be his eldest child. It will be Prince George. Not in 20 years, but gradually, starting now. This is where the concept of royal entraining becomes so significant. It signals a shift in royal strategy. It shows that the palace is no longer waiting for George to grow up before introducing him to the public sphere. They are preparing him, step by step, for the monarchy he will one day inherit. A monarchy that will be smaller, more efficient, more focused, and perhaps more demanding. But with that preparation comes pressure, even if the palace never uses the word. Royal experts have raised concerns that too much exposure could overwhelm George, that he could feel the weight of expectation too soon, that the failures of his Uncle Andrew and the departure of his Uncle Harry could create a burden he did not choose. These are legitimate worries, and yet Kate and William are approaching his introduction with extraordinary care. Their strategy seems to be this: introduce George to small, meaningful moments. Let him observe. Let him engage. Let him grow into his future role, not be pushed into it. And experts believe that Kate's calming presence is what makes this possible.
When Catherine walks into a room, she brings stability. When George stands with her, he absorbs that stability. And every appearance he makes with her reinforces a subtle message to the public. He is the future. She is preparing him for it. The monarchy is not being left to chance. And so the rise of Prince George is not simply a charming story of a child attending royal events. It is a strategic move in response to a shrinking institution, a monarchy forced to adapt, a family reshaping its future amid scandal, departure, and uncertainty. George may still be a boy, but the road ahead of him is clear. He will one day be king, and the palace has quietly begun walking him toward that destiny. Whether the public realizes it or not, a new chapter has begun. Not with Charles, not with William, but with a 12-year-old boy stepping into the spotlight at precisely the moment the monarchy needs him most. The question now is whether he will rise to the challenge, or whether the pressure placed upon him from such a young age will one day become the monarchy's greatest gamble. Only time will tell. What do you think? Is George being prepared too early? Is the monarchy relying too heavily on its youngest generation? Or is this simply the natural evolution of the royal institution? Let me know in the comments. And if you want to follow every chapter of George's rise, every new appearance, every shift in palace strategy, every moment that tells us what the future monarchy will look like, make sure you subscribe to Crownverse and turn on notifications. This is only the beginning.